I get to look at myself.
Evening.
Evening.
Come, I'm not seeing anybody. Urgh.
Really? I can see you.
Can you see me going? Urgh? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I see is Zoom, join new meeting. You will have to leave this meeting to join the new meeting. What? Why?
Oh, did you it just update, do a Zoom update on you?
I don't know.
Oh, well, or you have to be promoted to a panelist.
Oh, well, they asked me to be a panelist and I said, okay.
And did you say okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is somebody on that knows anything about this panelist thing? Don't you see your Zoom meeting? No, I don't.
TJ, I can see you, and I've got you as a panelist.
Yeah, we can see you, but you can't. You know what you can try doing? Where'd she go? Spirit.
I think she's doing that.
She's gonna do exactly what I was gonna ask. Okay.
Here she comes again.
Okay, I'm here. And I got my camera fixed. It didn't fix my face, but I got my camera fixed.
Oh, well.
What's up
There's
with
only so much it can do.
that? I want to be a 10.
Really.
How's any cool kid stories, Matt?
No, I mean she's doing well.
She's not walking yet, or
No.
decided where she's going to college, or
I was
anything
about
like
to say
that?
college. What about college?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it time. Give it time.
Okay, now I'm pulling up the letter.
Okay, so it is 6:30, and I think Cash said he might not be able to make it tonight. So I think we can go ahead and get started whenever you are ready, Matt.
Sure. I'm just bringing up the agenda. I'm gonna bring up the official one here. Remind me who does the
City of Englewood. It comes from the city of Englewood.
Awesome. Cool. Let's see.
Because I was looking under everybody else and I was like, oh, I found it.
All right. So this is August 17th.
See, Lauren and Matt, just so you know, you always have to stay one step ahead of the kids. You're going to have to really be savvy in all this stuff.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
Are you already behind, Lauren, or have you?
What?
We lost Lauren.
Yeah, probably
She
the
just kind
same
of came in
thing.
again, so I'm promoting. She should show up again in just a second.
Somebody else went away too.
That was Shelley.
Yay, there's Lauren.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I was struggling to connect.
Oh, is she talking away there?
Oh, yes, she is. So I'm watching her tonight, so I might have to leave early or might be a little distracted. I apologize.
Yeah, these kids got to learn Zoom right off the bat. Come on, teach them, teach them, teach them.
So who are,
Yeah, all our cats and dogs understand Zoom now, so.
all right, who are we missing? Is Cash going to?
Maybe, maybe not.
What, I'm sorry, CJ?
Cash had said he may not be able to make it.
Okay. Well, we do have a quorum.
Yay!
Eric, if you can confirm.
Yep.
Okay, time is 6:33 p.m. Calling the meeting to order. Would you mind doing roll call? Eric,
Sure. Chair Matthew Crabtree,
present.
Vice Chair Cash Parker, absent. Jason O'Brien,
Here.
Hannah Miles,
Present.
Lauren Cooper,
Here.
Belinda Ellswick,
Here,
CJ Cullinan,
Here,
and Cheryl Wink is not here. And for staff is Eric Sampson and Brian Isom. And Madeline Hinkfist will not be joining us this evening.
thank
Oh.
you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Eric. Moving on to agenda item 2, approval of minutes from the 20th of July, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Do we have any amendments, adjustments, considerations in the minutes?
Not this time.
All right. All in favor of approving the minutes as written?
I,
I.
Aye.
I'll abstain since I was not present at the last meeting.
and we missed you.
Okay, and Eric, that was. Were you
I
gone?
have that as all ayes except for Jason, who's abstaining, and Cash, who is absent.
All right, moving on to public forum. We do not appear to have anybody from the.
Public informing.
So moving on to agenda item 4, old business A, Dave Cuesta, recognition and thank you letter. I believe as discussed, this was to be, well, hopefully Dave Cuesta was able to attend tonight, but he has not, that's fine. But we would like to officially read the letter into the record. CJ, I believe you expressed interest in being able to read the letter.
Yes, sir, Mr. Matt, I would be honored.
I will hand the floor to you.
Dun, 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 dun. Dear former council member Cuesta, the Englewood Historic Preservation Commission wishes to formally acknowledge and thank you for your service as the Englewood City Council liaison to the HPC. The HPC understands that as a council member, you had many responsibilities serving the citizens of Englewood and many demands on your time in performing your service. Your commitment and assistance to the HPC were even more notable in view of these demands. The HPC appreciates your reliable attendance and active engagement at HPC meetings. Your input provided valuable insight, not only into how council might approach initiatives and proposals put forth by the HPC, but also provided practical direction to achieve the broader goals of the HPC. As a relatively new commission, your guidance as the HPC navigated uncharted waters was invaluable. While your contributions are too many to be listed individually, your assistance with the challenging project of proposing amendments to the Englewood Municipal Code concerning the preservation of designated historic landmarks was particularly valuable. Your ideas, enthusiasm, and input contributed greatly to the continued success of the HPC and its mission. Likewise, your consistent advocacy for the HPC and its initiatives before council was integral in the HPC advancing its objectives. Your dedication to and continued support of the HPC before council ensured a thoughtful audience that carefully considered the HPC's proposals. The HPC thanks you for your contributions, time, and effort serving as the council liaison to the HPC. Your service as the council to the liaison to HPC exemplifies the highest ideal of public service. Best wishes in all of your future personal, professional, and civic endeavors. HPC. Well done,
That is very good.
isn't
Who
it?
wrote
I was
that?
very proud to read that.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I
Who wrote
did.
it?
I
Matt
believe
did?
Cash was the main author on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he
I
is-
want Cash to write my
good.
eulogy.
Yeah.
I think we can all second that one, right?
Well, he's a lawyer. He knows the proper use of a semicolon. And,
All right. Well, thank you very much for reading that, CJ. And, thanks again for Dave Cuesta and all of his time and commitment to our commission. Any other comments or anything that you'd like the board would like to mention?
if we're actually going to send him a copy of this as well, suitable for framing or whatever, I'd suggest we squeak the format up just a little bit to eliminate that orphan on the second page.
Oh, good observation.
Otherwise, I have no changes, just a
Well,
formatting
I
comment.
can easily do that on my end and send it out.
Okay,
And it'll go on formal letterhead for the city of Englewood, yes.
Yep, they'll have the Englewood letterhead, the HPC logo, and then we'll come to him in a City of Englewood envelope.
Ooh.
Yeah, super
okay.
fancy.
All right, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 4B, neighborhood maps update. Now, Madeline, sorry, not Melinda. Madeline. Madeline is not present this evening, but I believe the intent of this particular agenda item was to review the, I guess, what the next steps were, and also additionally the illustrated neighborhood map, if that's been finalized. Is that correct, Eric?
Yes, I believe so.
Do we have any update on that, or should we push this to the next meeting?
Let's go to next meeting.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move this to the next meeting. Go ahead. Notepad opened up here, so I'll make note of that. I always seem to get to the week where I need to do my agenda, and I'm thinking, well, what did we talk about? So.
Mhm.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4C, CodeNext update and HPC involvement. This was a request from the last meeting to review updates on the CodeNext as to where the city is and what our involvement would be moving forward with that.
So Brian Eisen, planning manager from community development. Where we're at right now is we are engaged with our consultant and what we have called our technical advisory committee. So that essentially is staff members that are involved in the development process from different departments across the city that are, being asked, big picture questions on, staff recommendations for changes to the code or streamlining processes and things like that. What happens from there is the consultant will go back and create some initial drafts of our code. And then we will begin taking those drafts to our UDC subcommittee or steering committee, sorry. The intention, once we get all of those initial drafts, is to have a kind of what I would say is a boards and commission kind of a caucus, I guess. It's basically a large group of all of our boards and commissions that get them the opportunity to come in and we can update them on the code and they can provide comments and their insight. But for your group, because you have kind of a large chunk of the code, I think what we'll do is actually come to this board separately. You can come to the larger meeting, but I think we'll come to you all separately once we get everything drafted. That way we can have a good presentation for you all. You'll have a chance to kind of review what the draft is and provide your input at that point. The goal would be to get you information that you can kind of read up and study on a couple weeks ahead of the meeting that we have with you all, but we'll try to schedule it at one of your regular meetings and not try to hold anything special. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We've got an update scheduled for City Council on Monday. If you'd like to watch that, it's a study session item. We'll give kind of the update. It'll be not quite as brief as the update I just gave you all, but a little bit more information from our consultant. And then we're looking at scheduling additional meetings. You know, we're kind of in limbo right now as they create the initial draft. Once they get that created, we'll have more of a concrete schedule for adoption, additional public outreach, how we work with our city council and all of our other boards and commissions. So I don't have much of an update right now, but that's what I've got.
Hey, Brian, I have a quick question.
Sure.
You know how some of this stuff, well, not some of this stuff, it is political, right? You get two people together or more. So us not being at these group meetings, does that make us lose some sort of discussion that may be valuable?
So the technical committee is staff members, not board
Right.
members, not commission members. And we're not going through the items that you guys have already drafted. So we're not going back and revising any of that. Our main focuses are 4 topics that our consultant has put together, mainly coming out of our public outreach. So one is policy and procedure. So how do our procedures work? What items need administrative approvals? What needs, a little bit more discretion? Then we have a streets and walkability topic that we're kind of going through, more of a technical side. How did these things get constructed? And there's a section on housing. So what does our future of housing look like? We also have another consultant that's doing a total housing assessment for us that will also influence that. And then the last section would be sustainability. What I would say is when we begin our second round of public outreach, let me know and we can make sure and get you guys involved. You can be involved in the additional public outreach, but also in our big, I can't remember the word I used for it today, Eric, when I talked about it, but our planning and zoning commission, board of adjustment, historic preservation commission. We've already had requests to involve transportation committee. So we have a lot of boards and committees that want to be involved, and we're trying to figure out the best way to involve everyone. And to us, we feel like this large meeting where everybody can kind of hear each other's points and kind of feed off of each other sounded like the best way to go about it.
But with each topic being different, so it's before minimum of 4 meetings.
That one will likely be one. It'll be
all those things with
a very
everybody.
big meeting. Yes. Yeah. It'll be a big one.
You'll have a lot of no-dos and high caffeine drinks. That just seems like it's a lot to digest. And then especially with the specialists of the different commissions and boards that have some input and know-how to share that with us. I can see that taking time.
It can be. I mean, if we need to have additional meetings, we will. We're going to start with one and see where it goes. We're working with our consultant. Like I said, we don't know exactly what that timeline looks like right now because we're still in the initial draft phase. But once we start to get closer to that first, rough draft of the entire code, and we can start rolling out that, we'll start looking at how we want to do it. If we do it over a 3-day period, and we have to do, 2 or 3 separate meetings to get everybody's input. Yep.
Well, and I was thinking too, because some of the people, which you've already run across in Englewood, some people are very detail oriented and very involved with a lot of different of the details. So that idea, though, you're talking about A and then you go to B, well, people still have something to say about A. So then it bounces back to A and then people are getting confused about B. Do you know what I mean? But if you have one meeting that talks about one topic, then there would lessen confusion. It might be very efficient. I just throw it out.
I get it.
And then that way, if you're not interested, you don't go to that one.
Yeah.
If you're very interested, you go to the one that attracts you.
What we're doing for our subcommittee, our EDC subcommittee, it was a subcommittee in my last city. It's a steering committee here. Our consultant is putting together kind of some really brief updates showing, in each section, here's what was updated rather than just carried across. But we're going to provide some updates for them to read, kind of like cliff notes, if you will.
Right.
But also the full code. So that if the people that are super detail oriented want to go in and read every line, they have that ability. But if there's people that are saying, just show me the big picture changes or wholesale changes, I only want to focus on these. So we're trying to provide material for every kind of every ideology of how they want to approach, how they want to research the changes. But they'll ultimately, the consultant will be presenting that to our boards and commissions.
And that would just be, you will receive that stuff at the meeting, not before.
No. Our goal is to get it to you a couple weeks before.
That's
That way you
us.
have
You
time.
meant everybody. Okay, I
Yes,
apologize.
yeah.
I
Sorry.
thought we were special.
Well, if we have an additional meeting with you all, yeah, our goal is to try to get, our technical committee meetings, we try to get the information to our staff at least a week ahead. So they
Right.
have time to review any questions that they have beforehand. Yeah, it's not beneficial to just lump it on your plate and then have a meeting that day.
Thank you.
So when we see this will be what the consultant came up with and not what we spent 2 years working on with our particular section.
I don't know how it's if it's gonna change with y'all's or if it's gonna start with what you guys have done. We haven't, that part is after we get through these 4 main topics.
Okay.
But that's gonna be a conversation that we have with you all before we go changing anything.
Because that's even bigger than what's already out there, you're saying, huh?
Yeah, they've got the 4 big topics are kind of the big, more broad topics. And then there's a few topics at the end after we get through those that are a little bit more nuanced. Not all of our development departments deal with our historic preservation commission. You guys kind of have your own section of our code. So that'll be why you guys will generally get your own separate meeting to discuss that piece on top of everything else.
Yeah, that'll be great having some of the opportunity for cross discussion, because I think that'd be an opportunity to speak to how historic preservation is a very big tool and leveraging other goals like sustainability and housing, particularly affordable housing. I mean, these are the toolkit, the tools in the preservation toolkit are a lot of them are driving towards those goals and various municipalities. So I think it would be good for us to be able to show how our goals of the commission helps further those other broader kind of goals that Englewood is striving for, because it really is a great tool to kind of leverage those sorts of things. So I think, yeah, that'll be really good.
And I think we're kind of approaching it the way that we do kind of internally with the development process is we don't stay in our own little silos. We try to work within the larger team so we can understand what everybody else is looking at and how it might affect us and how what we're looking at might affect them. So.
Lovely.
Now, Brian, you had mentioned the 4 main areas. What are those areas again? Did you?
Well, let me look at a cheat sheet for myself. We have the technical provisions and then kind of streets and walkability, then housing and neighborhoods, and then sustainability.
Okay. And also, I guess for the benefit here, what is the scale of this? This is quite a large project. It's the entire Unified Development Code is being updated, or is it
all of Title 16? Yeah. So that's all of our development code.
Okay, interesting.
It hasn't. I don't know the exact time, but it hasn't happened in roughly 20 years.
Yeah, I think.
Well, at least it was around computers.
Yeah, I believe and don't quote me on this, but as I recall, Unified Development Code that is in existence now was put in place right around 2000. So I think.
Wow.
I think that's pretty accurate. So, and so what is
Our section was 2004 when it was first
amended?
added.
Yeah, exactly. And what how many pages are they looking at changing? What is Title 16? Is the actual, I mean, the scale of this?
Let me see. Hold on one second. I can get in there. It's 370 pages.
Okay. All right, well, we're excited to be involved. We spent a lot of time, as our members have just mentioned, we spent a lot of time doing our own research, looking at neighboring communities, looking at neighboring cities and other areas around Colorado, and bringing in kind of the best of those. And that's primarily Jason's work. So we thank him for that. That was a lot of research and a lot of time that he spent on that. We spend a lot of time as this commission. We believe we came up with some pretty good wording as is. I understand that it probably, well, we went through quite a few legal rounds with the various city attorneys the city of Englewood had for.
Yeah.
But we understand that there may be changes, but if there are changes that are recommended, it would be appreciated if we were part of that discussion, considering we have the context associated with the individual topics, what was mentioned, what was intended, and so on. So yes, our involvement, we're begging for it. So.
All right, understood.
This is a curiosity question. Lauren had brought up the idea of the CLGs again. I even forgot what that meant. Lauren,
Certified local government.
yeah, we don't need that at this time, right?
No.
No, I don't believe so.
We don't
Okay.
meet the requirements at this time.
Okay, thank you. It's the stair stepping up to, okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions for Brian? Okay, well, thank you, Brian, for the presentation and the information.
Thank you. Y'all have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Alrighty, moving on to agenda item 5A, new business, August 22nd presentation of the historic survey to City Council. As I understand, that's been moved to September 12th. Eric, would you provide a little background on that?
Sure. Yeah. So on Ashley Bushy's last day at Pinion, she gave me the final draft of the historic survey. She had taken a job down in Lone Tree. So at that time, everything was kind of who's going to take over this project, and it's going to be someone named Sean, and I'm blanking on his last name. But I know Jason's familiar with the guy. But he's going to be taking over lead as project manager to kind of just bring us across the finish line on this. So he will be doing the presentation. But we thought it would be good to give him time to touch base with us, just to kind of coordinate and get him up to speed on the project, on what had been done, and just kind of get the presentation put together. So if the presentation had moved forward for August 22nd, everything would have been needed to be to council last Thursday. So logistics wise, that just wasn't looking promising. So we were able to get it to move to the 12th, and yeah, we should be good. I know Cash had said that he would not be able to attend on the 12th. So if there are one or two of you who would like to attend that evening, that would be great.
It's Hannah. I would like to attend that evening if that's all right.
Sure.
I saw the email go through for this one. But I was very intrigued and honestly just like amazed at how it all came together. But if it's okay, yeah, I would like to be there on the 12th.
Jason, since you have experience with this group, of course, I'm one of those people that's just dismayed to no end that this gal can't just do one more presentation to the city council, considering everything she's done. The questions we asked her, the things, I mean, this woman knew everything inside and out because she actually weaved the tapestry. This guy coming in, I mean, seriously, how does he take the ball and run like that?
Oh, well, I mean, overall, I mean, the projects, like I said, as Eric mentioned, the final draft was submitted. So, I mean, the project has been completed by Ashley Bushy and Pinion Environmental. So it's mostly just him getting up to speed to, present on it. And, they're in the same office and things like that too. So, I mean, I don't see it being much of an issue there, but yeah, I mean, obviously she can't do a presentation because she doesn't work with the company anymore and is, not being paid for any of that and stuff. So.
You're muted.
I'm sorry, I thought I was working with the company, just a different project. Okay,
Oh, no, she's with an entirely new company.
I get it. I'm sorry, missed that.
Okay, I just looked at my calendar. I don't believe that I'll be able to make it on the 12th. I have a work commitment.
Yeah, I could say now, I think I could probably attend that meeting.
And I'm
Okay.
back up that night, but I can put it down to attend, but I may not be there.
I think as many of us as possible should be there, even if we don't actually speak up, just a show of solidarity.
I can try to come. I'll have to look at my calendar, but I think I can make it.
Well, the best of luck for that. I hope it is, to Jason's point, the presentation is largely written and finalized. It'd be nice if we had an opportunity to meet. And I believe the name is Sean Fallon. Is that correct, Eric?
Let me confirm that. It'll take just a second here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his name. And I've
Oh,
worked with
thank you.
Sean too on other projects, and he's good. Like, he knows his stuff, and I think he'll do a good job. So
Thank
Very
you.
good. Yeah, the big concern would be to just make sure that the context and background, but we've all been through this too. So the attendees that night from the commission here can hopefully fill in anything that Sean may not be privy to at the moment. Eric, will anybody from the HBC be able to sit at the, because I assume that's going to be a study session, not actually a full city council meeting, is that right?
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, we could have an HPC member sitting up there with, I'm guessing it'll be myself and Sean, and then, yeah, one of you.
Okay. All right, very good. And then as that date gets closer, let's see if we can confirm who all can attend, and who wants to sit up there. So
That we
All right.
will not have another meeting before that date.
we will not. Yes, that is correct. That is the week before our meeting.
So
next month.
unless we have a special
Which
meeting.
date?
Yeah. Do we want to have a special meeting ahead of it to meet Sean? Is that something the commission would like to have?
I think that would be good if he's available.
I happen to have another meeting that day, the 10th.
This is on the 12th.
Oopsie, hello. No, we were looking at September 12th, so it'd be the 7th. Right? September 7th, you're talking about moving the meeting to?
It's going to be the 12th.
Well, the 12th, but I was saying holding a
Oh, gotcha.
special meeting to review the report ahead of the presentation to council, so that well, I guess we do have Eric, you sent out the final draft, is that?
Yes.
It's really just putting a face to the presentation, is that right?
Yeah. All right, final report. Well, let's go around the table here and see what everybody's interested in having a kind of a pre-meeting ahead of that. I'd imagine it'd be about 30 minutes to an hour. And we could do that the week before, or really any day before the presentation.
I'm available the 7th, September 7th.
Are you so you would be interested in doing this, CJ?
Yeah, just to put a face to it, see.
Jason, what are your thoughts on this?
That week before, I probably wouldn't be able to, even if it's short, probably be able to attend anything for that.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm familiar with Sean, so I don't really need to meet him.
Okay. Melinda, what do you think? Having a meeting ahead of this, is that something you'd be in favor of?
I like the idea of doing a meeting in advance, and I'm fairly flexible as to availability.
Hey, I
Um,
throw this out. The purpose of the meeting is to just kind of see him, see his performance,
Well,
that type of thing.
No, I think the purpose of the meeting would be just to meet him and, give him the kind of the background, that he may not, may not have been, or may be difficult to present in any other way than just meeting us ahead of time.
Because I was thinking, could he just do a video and send it to us through Eric?
No, I think if we do want to do this, the objective would be to do, just kind of a quick overview of what the presentation to council will be. If he has
Okay.
questions, if he wants to, and then we can put a face to the name. I know, Jason, you've met him. I trust that, Pinion's quite a large consulting firm, that they have the best of the best. It's more of just to, meet him ahead of the meeting and go through the report. If he has any questions about context or history with this project, we could go over that. It could be a very quick meeting, but to Melinda's point, there's kind of a benefit of just having a pre-run before we have a brand new person.
Well, and the one thing that I haven't seen as much as I would like is our city council involvement, is having our city council person there at this meeting so that nothing kind of seems as a surprise to her. I throw that out.
Well, so far, so I'm just kind of getting a kind of round the table, round robin type input on this, if this is necessary or not. Let's move on to Lauren. Lauren, what do you think about having a meeting ahead of this? Do you see benefit in it, or?
I mean, I'm kind of indifferent. I think probably because I know Sean. But I would say I think, yeah, it would probably be beneficial. I don't know if I could attend. It would kind of depend on the day of the meeting. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Anna, what are your thoughts?
I think the meeting would be very beneficial. I would not be able to attend on the 7th. I'll be flying back from a work trip. I could most definitely do the day before or the day after. But I would like to be there, and I think it would be a good idea.
Okay, well, we don't necessarily have to do this on a Wednesday night. We could do this on another night during that week, depending upon everybody's availability. And of course, we're assuming at the moment that Sean would be available also. Eric, would you mind reaching out to Sean and see if he'd be willing to meet with us just the week before the presentation to council?
Real
Yeah.
quick, looking at the calendars, that is Labor Day weekend, so we lost Monday. And then just personally, I'm busy Tuesday and Thursday, and so there's going to be some of that stuff going on, I'm sure.
What about the last week in August? I mean, it doesn't have to be, I guess it depends on how quickly Sean gets up to speed on this.
I would assume he's probably up to speed at the moment. I mean, the report is relatively concise. I think this is, yeah. So I actually, looking at the calendar, Wednesday the 7th would be difficult because I have a conflicting meeting that day. That's the Historic Society's meeting actually that night. So, I could do. Hate to take up everybody's Friday night with a Historic Preservation Commission, but the 9th possibly, or maybe like Melinda said, the week before, either the 29th through the 2nd.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe reaching out to Sean and seeing if he had any availability one of those evenings.
Okay.
The week of the 29th.
Yeah, that would actually be good to give us. But I mean, yeah, that's really good.
It'd probably be 29, 30, 31, or 1 anyway, right?
Yeah.
Probably Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Eric, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to Sean and see if he'd be available for a quick meeting. I assume that the meeting would be rather short, probably be half hour to an hour.
Sure, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Watch him send it now and he has an answer before the meeting's over.
Yeah, that would be funny. All right, any other discussion on this?
Only if we're having a special meeting, we'll need to notice it how many days in advance. So we'll need to establish a date. You know, say it's the 31st, then we have to have published the notice by the 29th, is it, Eric, or something like
It's-
that?
I can't remember the exact, if it's a week ahead of time or
I thought it
10
was a week.
days.
Yeah.
I
But
thought it
yeah,
was 3
yep.
days, but
Oh, wait, maybe it's shorter. I'm so used to doing stuff for like public hearings that that's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, for like hearings. I'll see. Hold on, let me see what I can find.
I thought it was 3 days for posting a meeting. There are special considerations in there. I'm just not sure what they are myself. I mean, I'm going to let you quote officially here, Eric, as you're a member of city staff, but according to what I'm reading here is statute requires full and timely notice posted in its designated place within a reasonable time prior to the meeting. A local body may comply by posting a notice at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. I don't know if that applies to our application, other than that may be different. There are several conditions associated with it.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have an answer soon.
That's fine. Don't worry about it right now. Why don't we do this?
Don't hold your breath on me right now.
I already was. Didn't you see us turning blue?
Yeah. And this is, I'm sure that's probably really exciting stuff you're reading through right now. Why don't we do this, Eric? Let's save that towards the end of the meeting here. You can see if you can find it by staff's choice, but I think first step, no matter what, is to ask if Sean is available. So we'll go from there and see what the availability is. And Eric, you can reach out to individual members of the commission here and check on coordinating the time.
Yep.
That works for one. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. All right, moving on. Agenda item 5B, Englewood Neighborhood History Report. This is presented by Lauren, and I believe everybody received the report that was sent out. And Lauren, do you want to take the floor and give everybody an update?
Yeah, so I don't know if everyone got a chance to look at the document, but I went through and started gathering information on each of the individual neighborhoods. It kind of follows a pretty standard format of it starts with what I'm calling more interesting history about the neighborhoods, just kind of fun, or I don't know, like facts and businesses or schools or different entities that are located in the neighborhoods and their history, what makes them unique. And then I kind of go into the composition of the neighborhood as far as like housing or commercial and the rough ages of the buildings that are there. And that information about the ages is based on the map that Pinion had included in their survey plan. And then the last paragraph kind of talks about how we drew the neighborhood boundary lines, the subdivisions that were developed, or the subdivisions that kind of comprise the neighborhood, so on and so forth. So I'm just asking for, it's a really rough draft. I did basically just desktop research. I looked through, what's the name of the book? Englewood, its people and its history. That provided a lot of the information. I wanted to go to the library and do some more research, but did not get a chance to. So that's sort of the next step in this, is to find more information on each of the individual neighborhoods. And then also to ask you all if you know any more information on the neighborhoods. So I have questions in there in a lot of different places. And I also found historic photographs of a lot of the neighborhoods, mostly from Englewood Public Library. So yeah, that's kind of where it is. I'd really appreciate some help just sort of filling in gaps. Some neighborhoods I was able to find a lot of information on, and I feel like they're pretty it's well-rounded enough. Other neighborhoods, I could find nothing. And I should also say that I feel like this should go. Helene had kind of started this effort, and it's for the pop-ups. Sorry about the laughing baby, better than crying. Helene had put together information for the pop-ups that appear on the GIS map on the website. And so that's kind of where I figured the information could go. So it is pretty brief, just because there's not a lot of space in those boxes. So that's kind of, the background on what I've done and what my thinking was for it. So
That's just amazing to me. Thank you so much, Lauren. That whole idea of getting what we have back to the group, that neighborhood group or something, I think is a wonderful source of information. And sometimes if it does get bulky, could we have, just like when you hit on that thing, you've got 3 choices, recent history or whatever, the physical structural compounds, whatever the 3 that you've broken them down to, could those be 3 different things that you hit per each time you hit that neighborhood?
I don't know. Maybe it would be a question for the GIS department, and kind of how those maps are set up, but that's a good idea. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking,
a little
the
bit more
personal,
information.
yeah, because the first part's almost oral history too,
Mhm.
and that can be a little fluid sometimes.
Yeah, thanks for all that work, Lauren. That's a great start, and yeah, fun photos. I really enjoyed the neon sign for the Brookridge Dairy and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think that was one of the neighborhoods I was most surprised by, because it's, just kind of a commercial area now. And I was really excited to find that it was the dairy and kind of that history with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bummer. One of the houses is already gone. It had something to do with that dairy.
yeah. And that's, well, and speaking of houses that are almost gone, I had the thought that since the opinion survey identified those houses that were still here from the 19th century, that in each of those neighborhoods we could mention that there's a house there from built in 1890 or 1898 or whatever, and
That's a really good idea. Yeah, I'll go through and add that in. Because that's that's kind of what I'm looking for, is just different ways to kind of make the history of the neighborhoods more, I don't know, just more digestible for individuals that aren't that interested in history.
Well, and it's interesting, like when I got the preservationist from Colorado and the Colorado History Colorado, if you guys aren't reading these magazines, number one, it's amazing. It's just so cool. But number 2, that idea that you can kind of tell by the tone. Some people are very artsy in how they say something. And then somebody else is very do. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm surprised you didn't put in those code, where this thing, what do they call it? GIS coding or whatever, where some people are very detailed, and others it's very pictorial, and others it's very oral history. It is so amazing that how what I found digestible would probably be totally different for somebody else, even on this board, on the presentations and how we like to see it in different ways is awesome. So thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you, Lauren. This is fantastic. It's an amazing amount of information in here, and appreciate you taking the time to put it all together and keep us up to date.
Yeah. Wow.
And if we've got things that we've discovered or input for you, we just send that to you, or?
Yeah, I would say send it to me individually, and then I can add it in where it's needed. Or if you want to just put it directly into the document and then send me, a revised document, that's fine too. Whatever's easiest for you all.
Do
I
we
can
want
appreciate
community
everybody
import like
knowledge.
next door?
Say that again?
Do we want community input? Like even say that this is going on and through next door? or-
I mean, that's a question for the group. One hesitation I have with that is that verifying information from, community, just is it accurate or not, that would be my only concern there.
That's always the problem with oral history. And those that have least resources have less, you know what I mean? It's, anyway. Yeah,
And yet, when Doug Cohn put out a thing on Nextdoor saying, do you live in a historic house? He got like over 100 replies of people that knew when their house was built and who owned it and what it started out as, how many rooms and what was done to it. I mean, they knew a lot about their houses.
I know.
And that, while they may not know the neighborhood's history so well, or it's, apocryphal anyway, I mean, like on my particular block, across the street from me is one of those 19th century houses. And local lore has it that the house is haunted. I would not put that in a neighborhood history thing, that is just one of those, the word in the neighborhood is that house is haunted.
But see that oral history, I don't know, it gives it some cultural texture.
Yeah. And that, but yeah, but I mean, you could put in, that it was built in 1890 and it was one of the extant 19th century houses. Although in its current form, I really wonder, because it's like an A-frame. And well, those were very popular in the 50s and 60s. In 1890, that, but then again, it may have been altered into that shape. When I first moved here, it was painted sky blue with chartreuse trim. And it's like, yes, I don't want to live in a neighborhood with covenants. So, whatever you want to paint it is fine. But I mean, that's part of the history of the house, but I like say, not really something that needs to be. And also I have a picture from 1925 of the station where Jeff's Automotive is now, which shows looking across onto Lincoln Street, and that house doesn't show. But it may just be out of the picture, but it does make me wonder.
Interesting. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for your hard work on this.
Yeah.
Let us know if there's anything you need from us.
Yeah, I will. Like I said, my next step is to go to the library and do more research. But then again, if anyone has any information, just to send it my way, I'd really appreciate that. So
Hey, Lauren, there's a couple of people over at the library who are so into Englewood history. Like they have a section of the library that has Englewood history books.
nice.
And so maybe even giving them a heads up that this is what you're going to do, they may save you some time and pull some stuff together for you.
Yeah.
And I throw
yeah.
out the idea of the board interactions. Maybe there's a library board member that may be very helpful in kind of honing things down for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Utilize the resources that are there. They might get very excited about being involved with this.
No, those are really good suggestions. Yeah, especially when it's tied to like the larger kind of citywide neighborhood map
Right,
project.
the community. Well, then just the idea that it's staff and a board and a citizen that could help move this along. That'd be awesome. Not to create more meetings for you. I'm just saying let them pull the resources. Especially if you find some topics to where you say, hey, can you guys look for this? And just let them fly and find it. For you. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely worth reaching out to the library and even the library board before I do get too much more into it, just to see what's already out there.
or what
Mhm.
these people
That's
already
right.
have.
All right, thank you very much, Lauren. Moving on to agenda item 5, C, Melinda. This is the Englewood Demolitions Report presented by Melinda. I can't remember the term that we coined last time. What was it? The demolitions index?
Yeah. And well, and this is an update. I did sign up for the the city's a site for this, and it allows me to see, I'm trying to find where I put it here, I guess. But,
I believe I have it. Is it final demo permits 2018 to 2021?
yes, yes.
Share my screen.
And that it returned, the query returned, I asked for final demolition permits between 2018 and 2021, and it returned 162 replies, and I did break it down into that. Of those permits, 92 were for single family houses, 4 were duplexes, 57 were for garages, and 9 were for other things like chicken coops, sheds, and good, there it is, yeah.
Can you see it on my screen? Okay, everybody.
And yeah.
Okay.
And then the illustration I just cropped out, that's the 1927 Sanborn map, just the corner of it. And I pasted in there how many demolitions there were in each of those neighborhoods that existed in 1927. And of course, and the list on the side is, and that was what the neighborhood was called then. Not necessarily what and Higgins South Broadway Heights, which is hit the hardest, does not show on this map. It's further south. But you can see that, well, I mean, at least I've noticed that a whole lot of Acoma, Bannock, and Cherokee are all gone and all made into duplexes and triplexes and other infill. So and much of it's gone. And then I did a second query of those which I did not send out, of the current active demolition permits from 2022. There are 9 that are commercial, and so I disregarded those. I focused basically on residential. And there are currently 14 requests for demolition of houses, and 3 for garage or shed. And the garage, and that's it, because even though it maybe had the same address as the house, it has a separate demolition permit. And the neighborhoods hardest hit in the current are the Bannock neighborhood up north there, and the wellness district. There's like a whole block of South Pearl that seems to be being demolished. But only one, they're all active. Only one has actually been finalized. It was in Jackson Heights. But that's the kind of what we're up against if we're trying to save things.
You know what would be cool, Melinda, is to see this on the new map. of course,
Yeah, that, and I
which may or
actually
may not be
tried
hard.
to.
I don't know. But the way you have this really is kind of cool in the idea of getting this information out to people. And because I know when I saw something torn down the street, I was like, I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was up for talk, to where, and the idea is that it doesn't come up for talk unless someone sees something and acts on it.
Yeah.
And so this type of information, we're not trying to be antagonistic. I'm sure developers really aren't excited about us if we present this information. What do you think, Matt? I mean, I'm thinking this stuff is gold.
Yeah, and when you talk to the community right now, I think most people, at least in our, Melinda and I live near each other. CJ, you're not too far from me, or Melinda. Our side of town down here, we're getting a lot of demolitions. And realistically, when we look at this report, we realize quickly that, well, we're getting a lot of demolitions on our side of town, but wow, it's really happening over by the wellness district.
Yeah.
But it's fatiguing to people that live in a neighborhood when there's constant demolition and constant construction. It's depressing to see a lot of, homes that have stood the test of time being torn down and replaced with quickly and cheaply built,
Well,
modern.
just that idea, would we even want to
Post this,
position
right?
ourselves in saying, hey, if you guys want to know where demolitions are happening, we've pulled it together for you. Boom, here's your map.
Well, I think it's beneficial. And actually where I was going to go with this is we have our own page on the city website, right? It explains a little bit of information about the Historic Preservation Commission. Why couldn't we post the updated report? Now it's going to take a fair bit of work to go through and update this every month. So maybe we look at this quarterly.
Well, I know that the community department of Englewood probably would not be excited about this because it's going to start creating some interest, right? And who
Well,
do these people going to call?
I don't know. I mean,
And if they say that there's, how come I haven't heard about this? Where's the hearings? Where's this or whatever? I mean, we're empowering people to basically save their own neighborhood if that is important to them. I mean, there's quite a few people who agree. Some of these houses, it's probably fine for them to go, which just hurts my head to say that. But that idea.
I have a
Nobody-
question, like, is there a way to present this information to council or at least to council member Wink as our liaison, and just so that, so that they can just kind of see the bigger picture of what's happening and why we're so concerned and why
Right.
we wanted to get the code revised. I mean, I think it's great to let citizens know, but also just to let council know up front, like, hey, this is what we found. And Melinda, I really like the way you presented that too, like
Yeah.
on that Sanborn map. I think that's really, really helpful.
now, Melinda, what was the
So-
time frame that this information was collected over? How long did it take for 92 homes to get single family homes to be demolished?
Excuse me, say that again?
What is the time frame in which that this information is presented? Is this over the course of 6 months? Is this a course of
This is over the course of 3 years.
over the course of 3 years? Okay.
Since
Yeah.
we've been open since your last report type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, the last report covered 2016 and 17 as well. Which is, of course, when like most of the ones in our neighborhood, Matt, were already gone. So this time there's only 3 in our neighborhood, but
Can we
and another
include-
one coming.
Go
Can we include the commercial? I love the residential.
Me too.
I would love to include the commercial buildings. I know specifically in my area, and it's like the Swedish area, but I know a lot of the demolition that's happening over here, it's houses too that are getting put into the duplexes, but it's a lot of the commercial buildings that have been here since before I was born are being taken down, and then they're empty sites for years on end. And I was walking down, I think it was Downing, I forget which, not Downing, Old Hampton. I was looking at Old Hampton. Anyway, more apartments were just popping up, and it was it was almost kind of disorienting to be walking because I couldn't tell my children stories anymore. And so I would find it, I think other, families would find it, I don't know, very informative to know not just the residential, but the commercial buildings that are leaving, the stories that are not going to be able to be told anymore. And I think it's important that we include that in there too.
You got me thinking, because the idea that we were basically a 1950s suburb, the amount of mechanical shops, auto mechanical shops that have closed down has just been intense. I mean, I was thinking, God, that'd be so cool. I'm sure someone somewhere has that history bite that would be so cool to hear of all the different mechanical shops that used to exist here that don't anymore.
Yeah.
And because even, on Old Hampton, there must have been 3 at least. And yeah, I mean, just the different variety. I agree with you, Hannah.
Well, and now, for instance, though, the most recent commercial ones are some of them are like exterior elements in the courtyard, or the restroom and the shelter at Cushing Park, and the playground down at Centennial Park. And
That's interesting.
and one, it has I'm not sure where 4045 South Broadway is, but it was a interior asbestos abatement, which yeah, cool. I'm glad they did that. But so I mean, some of the things that are returned as a demolition permit, they're not something I would oppose.
Sure.
But I would like to
You have to filter
see
through
the
it.
side of the developers tearing down all of these historic houses. So
Well, I think having commercial properties on there is hugely beneficial. I think that's,
Okay.
but it needs to be parsed. It needs to go through and for actual full-on demolitions. And I mean, it does happen. It has happened. We lost Bees Auto along Old Hampton there. We lost, there's a number of buildings that we have lost over time.
mhm.
Going back to Lauren's comment about presenting to councils, is things change slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, but over a period of time that adds up. And that's what happened with South Broadway. There was a point in time where between Hampton and Yale, there were business after business after business after, historic buildings, much of it built
Mhm.
around the 20s, the teens, the formation, the incorporation of our city. And it was just one getting torn down here, one getting torn down here. To Hannah's point, a lot of it was, well, arguably, the renewal authorities' motivations during the 80s, or various development encouragements that happened over time. But oftentimes these commercial properties get torn down with the best intentions, and then nothing's there anymore. It's left vacant for years. And that's largely what happened with South Broadway. And from what I understand, largely the reason why we have so many car dealerships on South Broadway. So, anyway.
So I have a
Tangent
quick,
Mhm.
oh, sorry, Matt.
Yeah, go ahead, please. I went off on a tangent there, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I just have a quick thought / question is, my initial point of, can we present this to council so they see what's going on? Would it be inappropriate to add it to the presentation that we're giving on September 12th as sort of a either an introduction or a closing of why the survey plan is so important, because this is what's happening, and that's why we need the plan and we need subsequent surveys, is to help not manage this, is that, I don't know.
Well,
Is that
now
it?
you've got me thinking, wouldn't
Yeah.
it be cool if Wink would take what Melinda does based on the new map and show it from a council person's perspective? This is just some information I received from Melinda with the whatever. And so it gets people thinking. And then the next time that, meetings a couple times later, So it's just a presentation, just a little boom, boom. That's it. Here's a slide. Wow. And here's where it's happening. And then this guy comes in, 2 weeks later and says, ta-da-da-da, ta-da-da-da, whatever. What do you think? Breaking it up?
Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of impact associated with what Lauren's saying is that if there's a member that, and I think we have the opportunity here to format this in whatever way we want. I mean, it is the purpose of the presentation to council is to present the opinion, historic survey. But what would prevent us from having just a few minutes ahead of time from one of the commission members to present the tally?
You don't think that's too much information for them?
No, because I think it frames the conversation. It
Yeah,
says,
this is why we wanted the historic survey. This is.
It
Okay,
definitely ties it together completely.
there you go.
I agree with that.
honestly, Lauren, I think that's a fantastic idea. I don't think there's, I think it's perfectly appropriate. I don't think there's any problems with doing that I can tell. Eric would have to confirm that we have enough time, but Eric, how much time do we have allotted for the council session on the 12th?
I do believe it's a 15-20-minute presentation and 15 Q&A.
So if we steal 5 minutes from the Q&A to give a quick overview and just hit them hard with the information and say over the last 3 years, we've lost 93 single family structures in the city of Englewood, or just, and that the face of our city is changing before us. And, we for us to progress, however, we need to see where we've been, where we're at, and documenting this is an incredibly important thing. And there's a lot of demolition, something to really hit hard, that there's a lot of things are getting torn down in the city. And then handing out an opinion, here's the historic survey. I think that'd be a fantastic introduction.
Yeah, and we can work that into also, for instance, these older single family homes that are being torn down were more affordable than what's replacing them. And if affordable housing is a concern, then
Yeah, they're less affordable than what's being put up.
yeah.
And there's a lot of things. I don't want to get off on too much demolition, but so, and this is actually kind of an interesting thing. Well, I'll save it for commissioner's choice. We'll stay on topic. I have a tendency to go off on tangents, so I'm not going to do that. Anyway, yeah, so let's plan to do that. I'm sad that I can't attend that meeting. I have a work conference on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of September. So is there any interest in potentially asking council to push it to the next study session so that more people, don't change it on my account, please. I mean, we have very capable people on this commission that can do a very good job, but
Yeah.
Is that even an option to consider? Eric?
I'm just thinking time frame wise, we're getting kind of close to that year with Pinion. So I don't know if pushing it back any further I don't know how that would sit with them.
Well, Lauren, Jason, do you, what do you think about this idea? Would you be able to present that?
I think I should be able to. I'd have to, again, check my calendar and confirm, but I think I'll be able to attend the meeting, and I would be happy to present it if I'm there.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
All right, cool.
And then just be aware that anything that you plan to present to council, you'll need to have to me to include in the council communication packet by August 31st.
On that point, can we present the information over the historic neighborhood map with the number of demolitions in the individual areas? That's recent on people's, council's top of mind right there. We just recently presented that. Melinda, is that information available by area?
Yes. And I have collected, searched and collected it all by area, by its original area and by its current part of the neighborhood map. What I didn't really have was access to a copy of the neighborhood map that I could paste, paste things onto, which is why I say cropped and pasted this part of the 1927 Sanborn map in there.
Eric?
But
Sorry.
I would also be willing to try to expand this into the, like the entire city map and include commercial.
Because I was even thinking, like right there, what used to be the Masonic Lodge was the Baptist Church and is now 4 townplexes. You know what I mean? Town halls. What do you call them? Town homes.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, how do you write that?
Oh,
That's-
well, what was the Masonic Lodge and was Flood Middle School before that and is now a bunch of townhomes next to the Safeway.
No,
um,
I'm talking up here on Downing.
Well, there was another school lodge and everything that was torn down there too.
It wasn't Flood, Melinda. It was, I'm gonna say, it wasn't Hawthorne. It was,
No.
it was a very old school, much older
Yeah.
than Flood was, but
And
anyway,
it became the Masonic Lodge for a while though.
the 1950s, 1960s, it became the Masonic Lodge. So it was. there's
Yeah.
no doubt that, but anyway, Eric, can you, is it possible for you to get a PDF of the neighborhood map that we have to Melinda?
Yeah, is that are you talking about the one that kind of was spiffed up by
Yeah, the colored
communications?
one.
Well, we could use the stylized one, but this is more of a depressing topic. Maybe.
Well, merging the two together, you know, that was one of our projects that is brought. to fruition.
This is to be a background of a,
Yeah,
so that's
my thought was just a basic map that's not necessarily stylized, but it's actually just the, even if it's just an export from GIS.
Sure.
Just a basic outline of the neighborhoods and colored, you know, or separated with clear delineation and lines, and then Melinda can go through and edit
Yeah.
that.
So it'd
Yeah.
have the same information as the stylized map, or are you saying no?
I want to associate the stylized map with something much nicer and more happy about than demolitions right now. I don't know. That's my opinion. I think just a standard map that has it's the same exact information that's on there. It's just more crisp edges and just literal. This is a neighborhood. Were you thinking something else, CJ?
Yeah, well, I was thinking using the map that's out there, the new one. And say, you know, trying to get people accustomed to this is your neighborhood, this is your group, you know, and this is what's happening in your neighborhood. But obviously we need to be more formal
Yeah.
on stating when it was, what duration of time it was. And even if we're going to review this or ask Melinda to review this every 3 to 6 months, it should be dated that it's from this date to this date so that you can compare the maps to each other too.
Evolution.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Eric, if you could check into seeing what's available for getting a map to Melinda so she can put that information on there.
Yeah, sure thing.
All right, cool.
I mean, I could try doing a screen capture, but
No,
that wouldn't necessarily be helpful.
yeah. I think
No, I can get you a good document on that. So.
Okay. I'll go ahead and bring up the HPC page here. This is our page on the city website. It'd be kind of neat to consider the option of having whatever map we create on
Oh, yeah.
and have it posted here of just something at the bottom. It's an idea to consider, and we can talk about it further in the future, but potentially we can put that information here as just community information.
Should we, you know, now that you bring that up, should we be putting in events like what we're studying at this time, what we're moving forward at this time, and just put it under events?
Maybe like the new stuff we're looking at too.
Right.
Like, what we're digesting, things like that, and then
And the
kind of
reason
add that
being
in
is
there.
what if someone reads that and go, oh, I have a definite information about that or an opinion about that.
Yeah.
Getting that public discourse, public conversation, the more people talk, the better it is.
Eric, who's responsible for updating this page?
I think it's communications at the moment.
We can do a lot with this page. If you look at some of these, there's less information. We actually have
The
a lot of
board is,
information on there.
sheesh. What's planning and zoning? Sheesh, they've got so much power and look at that. Deep, deep.
Anyway, so that's a discussion for a future meeting. We can talk about this, possibly utilizing this. Maybe we get somebody from communications, either Madeline would be part of that group, or Chris Harder.
Yeah, there. Yeah, I can talk with Chris and see who would be the best one to include in an upcoming meeting for discussion.
You only have 7 things to do, Eric. Thanks.
No problem.
Sorry, we're delegating a lot to you tonight. This is yeah. So
He works
Are
hard.
you
for his
writing this
money.
down?
okay. Let's see here. Moving on. I think, is that it? Anything else on the demolitions report? Okay, not hearing anything. Moving along. Agenda item 5D, Colorado Preservation Incorporated 2023 nominations. Lauren had brought this up the last meeting. Wanted to see if anybody had given any thought for the nominations. Lauren, you had mentioned that they're seeking nominations right now.
Yes, they are. And I don't know when the nomination period closes. It's usually sometime right around now or the end of August. I personally haven't thought of anything, but yeah, if anyone else has, that's great.
Well, I have.
Remind me.
And I was just gonna note it closes on Monday.
Oh,
Remind
They
me what this
usually
is
allow
for? Endangered things?
extensions
Or?
of that deadline. Sorry, CJ. So Colorado Preservation, every year they have their list of endangered places.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And it's just, do we have any sites in Englewood that we'd like to nominate? So Matt, I'd love to hear your site, because like I said, if we reach out to them now and say we're working on an application, they'll usually extend the deadline. So.
City Ditch.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the City Ditch, and although what's interesting about it is it's more threatened at Littleton right now than it is in Englewood. There is a very short distance in Englewood that is threatened, but most of it, the remaining portions that are open, are threatened in Littleton. But I don't think it's specific to any area individually, and we would be able to, I would assume, be able to file an application for that. Is that right?
Not to be a negative Nelly, but they did give Englewood's ditch, the Dry Creek monies, I forget how many years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, to that area off of Ogden and Yale.
Mm.
And so they saved, quote unquote, that.
Hmm.
Well,
And you think of
That's
all the
the
things we could
Forest
save.
Hill neighborhood, yeah.
yeah.
Do we know whether Littleton is doing anything along this line? Because
Not that I'm aware.
the endangered part is in Littleton too.
No, and it would be interesting, Historic Littleton, HLI, it'd be interesting to raise this with them too, and I haven't had a chance to do that, but there is still discussion on this. There's still momentum. I know that the City of Littleton City Council there's been some discussions with this recently, but do I believe that they've nominated? I don't believe they have. So Lauren, what's the process for nomination and how difficult is it?
There's a form online that we would fill out, and it has basic information about what is the resource, what's the threat, what's the history of it, how immediate is the threat, is it something that's happening tomorrow, or is it just kind of like a years long thing? Is there community support for it? Kind of who would be the biggest champion? Just sort of basic information on it. And then the actual process. Oh, Jason, did you just bring that up?
I just brought it up. It was in the chat.
Oh. Okay, thank you. And then the process is the review panel will look at everything. The CPI convenes a review panel to review all the nominations. That usually happens in October. And then the board will choose the final sites. And then I think we would find out, one way or the other, probably November, if it's been selected. And then CPI makes their big announcement of the new sites that are endangered at the conference in January, February of 2023. So, and then
That would be
after
great.
that, they'll work with us to just kind of advocate and raise awareness and connect us to different resources. They don't, they're not going to provide any funding to actually save it, but it's helping us get connected and helping us, like I said, raise awareness that this is an important historic resource that is threatened.
Further visibility on it. Now there's a lot of background here, and some of this I may not have, but
Oh, I
Larry
guarantee you Littleton does.
Well, Larry Borger from Historic Littleton, and he's a former city manager of City of Littleton. He knows more about the city ditch than I think anybody else in the entire state.
I agree.
I can reach out to Larry and see if he'd be willing to fill out some of this information. But just in case, Lauren, is it possible for you to reach out to them and let them know that we've got a nomination pending?
Yeah, I can do that. Definitely.
Cool. All right, we'll see if this
But-
works.
Matt, are you calling Littleton to see if they're moving forward on this, or are you thinking of just from Englewood standpoint?
I would, yeah, no, I'm gonna contact Littleton. Lauren, what happens when they get multiple nominations? Does that increase the attention?
That's a good question. I would say in this case, it would probably be better for us to kind of submit it together so that they know that we're working with the city of Littleton to kind of save it together rather than each working in our own silos. That's kind of the important thing, is to make sure that there's enough community support for a resource to save it, if that makes sense. So I think it'd be stronger if we're working together on it.
Unified approach. So I will contact Historic Littleton and I'll contact Larry Borger.
Thank you, Matt.
All righty, thank you. And any other discussion on the Colorado Preservation 2023 nominations?
No, I was just gonna, what Lauren was saying, for showing that working together, one of the boxes does say, is there multiple organizations, working on this, with this resource? So they make it kind of easy to speak to multiple people looking at it.
Very good. Okay, cool. All righty, moving on. Staff's choice, agenda item number 6. Eric.
So I do have an answer for you on the special meeting. It is 48 hours.
48 hours. All
In
right.
advance. So I think that's something we could pretty easily work with. So again, I'll reach out to Sean, see if he's got some availability at week of the 29th, and we can go from there.
Okay, very good. Anything else?
That's it.
Cool.
Hey, Eric, I sent you that thing just in the last half hour before our meeting about Arapahoe Acres. Our
Oh,
tour.
yes, I was going to forward that on.
Because I don't know how, someday, Matt, maybe, or Melinda, you could come and show me how to do this, show people things, ability that are.
Oh, the share? The share screen?
Because if I start it, I know I'll hang up on us, so.
Okay, so I am forwarding your email, CJ, right now.
Okay, so Arapahoe Acres is having an architectural walking tour this Saturday. It's also a fundraiser for our neighborhood. It's involved with Denver Modernism Week. So if you know geeks that are interested in this, that's going on from the 18th through the 28th. This one on Saturday will be a guided walking tour focusing on the unique details and features of our mid-century neighborhood. The guide will be focused on the architectural details. It says a 30-minute tour. Anyway, probably 45-minute or more. Anyway, walking tour begins at the first home that was constructed in Arapahoe Acres. We're going to be having mimosas and Trumpo Bakery items, so a continental breakfast. And it is kind of expensive, $45 to include all that. If you're interested at all, just look on what's it called? Modernism Week, Denver Modernism Week, and it has us listed there for this Saturday. That's all I have.
Very good. All right. Moving on. Let's see here. Well, I'll jump in real fast. Actually, on the topic of Arapahoe Acres home tour, I have a domain. It's arapahoeacresHomeTour.com.
Shit.
So if you can find somebody in your neighborhood that's got some web savvy, whatever, for the
Okay.
I'd be willing to let you guys have access to that. I think we'd gotten it originally. Well, I had signed
For
it over.
EHPS.
We got it originally for EHPS. I'd just sign it over. Actually, it's not. I mean, I would have no problem if somebody else wanted.
Yeah,
to.
we've lost 2 websites purely because someone didn't realize, number one, that they had to pay it every year.
Yeah.
And so when the the treasurer transferred over, they didn't pass it on and we lost it. And then we got a second one, which I thought was really cool. And then we lost that because the guy said, I'm not going to pay it. And I'm like, why didn't you ask me for the money? I would have given it to you. And, stuff like that. It's so dependent on the people that have.
Sure.
It's fragile. It's so fragile.
It is fragile, but if you'd like that, I'd be willing to sign it over to someone or
Thank you.
work something out on that. So. On the second topic, and this was the tangent that I just about went off on earlier with the demolitions report, but there's a big promotion for new construction, right? Out with the old, in with the new. One of the most interesting arguments that I've heard recently. Now, in my line of work, I work in the kind of the public safety realm of things, right? So the company I work for supports public safety, and I have an opportunity to talk to a lot of firemen. And one fireman recently said, this new construction scares the you-know-what out of them. If there's a structure fire and it's a new building, they do not last as long as an older building does. They're made of plywood, glue, basically glue lambs and plywood and everything. There's no real set in stone time, but I know that this one fireman I was talking to, he said that when you have a structure fire in a newer property built within the last 10 years or thereabouts, that has plywood and OSB and things like that, that you take your time inside the structure and divide it in half. Safe time inside the structure, you divide it in half. I mean, listen, there's building codes, there's everything in. Yes, I understand new construction meets all those building codes. It's perfectly safe, and it's modern construction, and it's asbestos free, it's formaldehyde free, it's all these things free. But at the end of the day, when something bad happens in the property, real wood construction, 100-year-old lumber, it's dry, but it holds up longer.
It's thicker, it's denser, and you got brick, you got stone.
And this modern stuff that they're building, it's just not, it's not the same.
Oh yeah, OSB. I mean, it's resin and wood scraps and everything goes up like a torch. Yeah.
So he was terrified when I was talking to him about it. He said that's the most terrifying thing that's coming up on a new house. That's a structure fire.
Wow.
Anyway, on that note, more positive. Englewood block party coming up here on the 27th, I believe.
Oh, shyster.
Yes.
27th, the Englewood Historic Preservation Commission, now called Historic Englewood. We have a booth there, actually 2 booths, and we'll have the videos playing in there of the Englewood moments in history. We will be doing a name that archive again, which was a lot of fun. And we'll be doing a bunch of other stuff. So stop by, say hi. If you want to donate some time, or have a few minutes to help us out, we'd love some help. But we'll be there all day.
You know what, it'd be cool too, is for you to have a bunch of those flyers, the
Mhm.
history, the pamphlets, right?
We've gone through a lot of those.
Every time I bring it up, people are just grabbing them.
Yeah.
And, I can lose 30 like in one meeting somewhere anywhere in Englewood. So my thing is that and the map. Is there any way to just kind of put that side part on a table?
Yeah,
Even though it was history commission work?
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Eric, is there, will the city have any booths like they did last year at the block party?
I'm not sure about the overall number. I know that we'll have a staff member there. That's about all I can tell you on that.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, it'd be kind of neat to have it either at the city booth or have access to that for our booth.
They maybe borrow that big map that they had at the open house in November that
Yeah.
everybody put their sticky notes
Yes.
on.
Well, but that changed.
Melinda, I love that idea. I love that.
I like that, but that's changed since then. It's not the official map anymore.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was
Eric.
still cool. The history of it was cool on there.
Yeah, it's cool.
Fun to show it.
Eric, when you
Yeah.
for the map for Melinda, is it possible? Well, actually, you know what? I could have access printing, just print out a large format of the stylized map.
No, okay.
Yeah, never mind. I'll just have access printing do that. Cool, and we'll have it on the table.
Thank you.
And if the city wants to put something at their booth, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, hopefully this will be passed around. I mean, the block party is the perfect place to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, that's all I have. Jason.
Nope, I don't have anything currently.
Okay, Melinda.
Nothing other than what you've already heard.
Okay, Lauren.
Nothing for me.
Hannah.
Nothing more from me.
Okay. All right, and moving on to agenda item 8. I think it's the end of meeting. All in favor of
We need a motion.
that's
I
correct.
so move.
I'll say the motion. Motion to adjourn. CJ.
I so move to adjourn.
Okay.
Who's my second?
Who's your
I'll
second?
second.
All right.
Everybody.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
All right,
Good night.
meeting
Bye.
adjourned
Good night. Thank you.
Bye,
Good night.
everyone.
at 8:05.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Bye.